Digitizing is actually simple. Here's why. When I started digitizing for machine embroidery, and no, I'm not talking about auto digitizing, that's a story for another time. I would sit down in my dark office room and stare at my blinding white screen with a picture of a design wondering, how am I even going to do this? I kid you not, I felt like giving up countless times, and some days I did. I didn't touch the software program or even embroider at all. Regardless, due to my reluctance to want to give up, one day while I was digitizing a regular design, it finally clicked for me. I thought to myself, this is so simple, and the endless doubt turned into a challenge of how I can digitize best. So today I want to share with you what I realized, and my goal is to help you see it too. Because digitizing is simple, and you too can create masterpieces. Let's get started. The first thing that I realized is that digitizing is like building a house. Some houses are simple, and you could say they're made out of hay, while other houses are almost mansions. Regardless, no matter how big or small the house is, the foundation will always stay the same. So whether you see a small design or a really big design, they both followed, at least if they're properly digitized, the right set of foundations. Now, what exactly do I mean by structures, and how do we relate that to digitizing? Well, in digitizing, we have something called underlays. Underlays are the structures that you need so that your design gets held in place, it doesn't shift, it doesn't pucker, it doesn't move around. A smaller house may not need as much structuring to hold itself versus a big house. A big house needs some structure. The way I see it is that underlays are like the structure of your house. But what about the rest of the house? There's a lot more to it, so let's get into that. Whenever a house is built, there has to be two important things, and that is proper plumbing and proper wiring. Now for digitizing, we don't have any plumbing, but we do have the ability to wire things together. That goes under the form of connections. If you've ever seen any of our previous tutorials on digitizing, you probably heard the word connection. Avoid jumping, avoid trimming by connecting. And connection in digitizing serves the purpose to make embroidery as efficient as possible. Meaning that if we have one color to work with, or let's say a set of lights in a bedroom, our goal is to connect them for efficiency. Now, if I'm confusing you, just to be very clear, when it comes to connections for digitizing, the main goal is to take that same color thread that you're using. So let's say I'm using a purple for a house, and the design has 3 blocks. Well, instead of me jumping all over the place by creating one block, then the next one, then the next one, by adding connections, I can not only ensure that the machine stays up running as fast as possible, but also avoid jumps and trims, which could potentially cause issues to your embroidery machine. We're all about efficiency here, so connections is a very important thing, just like the wiring and the plumbing of your home. So far, we spoke about underlays and connections, which are the groundwork of a house. But now we also have the floors and walls. And can you guess what that is? If you guess fills or satin stitches, then you are correct. Imagine the walls of a house being the fill stitch. Its purpose is very straightforward, and that is either to create walls around you or create fill areas for your embroidery designs. Now, how I see the difference between a satin and a fill is that a fill would be more like a drywall. This is drywall, and a satin would be something that I use as borders, or in this case maybe window trims. Because satin is limited in its width, I mostly use it for borders or even to add effects on top of fills. And last but not least are all the knickknacks that go around a house. Things like your lights, your doors, anything that is more specific that adds that special touch to your house. These are commonly made up of run stitches, satin stitches, and sometimes even a fill stitch. To me, this is the most fun part of building a design because it adds that special touch that puts it all together. If you were to only build a design using fill stitches, the design would look a little bit flat, but once you add some satin stitches, your windows, your trims, and then you add on your little knickknacks, your door lights and everything, that is how you put everything together. I'm gonna share with you my favorite trick that has nothing to do with building a house, and that is to digitize things backwards. You see why you can't do that with a house? Because you can't start with the details. You have to start with the foundation, then the walls, the floors, and then ultimately you add all the little knickknacks. The way I like to digitize is I like to start with all the details, the things that are gonna be on top. So it translates to me creating all of the tiny little details around the house and moving down all the way to the foundation. Now, why do I do it this way and why do I think it's faster? I find that if I create the structure first and then add the details at the end, it's a little constraining and it doesn't necessarily allow me to create the final product that I had in mind. Meaning that if I created a wall or a fill in a specific way, I then feel constrained under the rules of those fill or satin stitches. And yes, digitizing has very important yet simple foundations that you should know. So for me, it's almost like I'm planning where everything is gonna go before I even start building the house. And then I get to place all the little details and then work backwards to the foundation. Now I will say that this is what works for me and how I pictured it in my head, and every digitizer has its own style. And if you're either felt confused or you like the style in which I digitize, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. I'm really excited because with our program coming out, you will have the ability to use your own style. Meaning that if you like to build your houses with the foundation first, you can, and it'll still be fast and easy. Don't forget to click the link in the description because we have more information about the software. And if you've made it to this whole video and you're saying to yourself, I still don't understand anything about digitizing, don't worry, because John Deere has created a free digitizing cheat sheet and video tutorial on the foundations of digitizing. And even if you're not planning on digitizing, if you're struggling with your embroidery because you don't know what makes a good design, please take a look at it in the description, because by checking out that free guide, you'll know the difference between a good design, a bad design, and the rules of theory and why certain things work and don't in the digitizing, just like a house. Imagine if I didn't have a structure to this. I don't think I'd be in this room, would I? Anyways, all of the links will be in the description ready for you. I look forward to seeing your comments. Thank you so much for sticking around to watch my explanation on what finally clicked. I hope this has helped you out. I'm really excited to put all of this in action and for us to get really fast, really efficient with our digitizing and embroidery. Thank you for watching and check out these videos next, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, Legacy family. Happy embroidery, happy digitizing. I'm gonna go build my house backwards. Let's go.